Now we are going to talk about the first, I would say, practical module, which is the data replication. Okay. So, so now replication, right? So replication task, what is the use case over here? Now, say for example, we have a small task of connecting to a particular database, right? And there could be n number of tables. Say for example, there are like 50 tables, right? And our job is to, you know, so there is a database A which is source, and we have database B as a target, right? Database B is totally raw. We don't have any table over there, right? My job is to pull data from those 50 tables in database A and push that data to database B. Right? So what are the steps I need to, you know, take for completing this using Informatica Power Center, right? First of all, I'll get all the DDLs of those 50 tables, right? Then execute those DDLs to get the tables created in database B, right? Then what I'll do is like I'll go to Informatica Power Center. I'll import the 50 source definitions, import the 50 target definitions, right? Then for 50 source definitions I'll create 50 shortcuts, right? And then assuming there is no data transpose or anything, right? Transformations I need to do, right? Then I'll create simple 50 mappings, source target, that's it, right? And then source qualifier and target, obviously, right? And then on top of those 50 mappings I'll create 50 sessions where I'll provide the connections, and then probably I'll create a workflow, single workflow, where I have those 50 sessions, right? And then I'll run the workflow, my job is done, right? But this sounds like really laborious, right? Why we need to create those many mappings and all, create, importing target, source and target definitions. If source or target definitions undergoes any change in terms of having more columns added or dropping some of the columns, data types changes and all, I'll have to keep those definitions updated every time, right? So though it is like very simple job, it is definitely going to consume some time, right? For a single developer to create 100 50 mappings and all will take time, right? So in Informatica Cloud we have a very nice useful concept called data replication, and using a single data replication task, spending just 5 minutes, right? you can create you can get the tables created in the database B, right? You don't have to run any DDLs, DMLs for that. And then using the replication task, single replication task, you can have all 50 tables selected as source, right? Run the replication task. For first time your tables will get created, right? And then the data will get copied, right? So this replication task is really important, or I would say really effective, right? Whenever we are connecting to the source applications like databases or Salesforce, right? And dumping the data to the landing layer of our data warehouse, right? So that time the replication task will be playing very key role in terms of cutting down the efforts, right? And then for maintenance purpose as well, right? So let me go to Informatica. In the data integration, let it load, and then we'll see where we'll go, and then we're creating the replication task. Now it is loading. Okay, so now I'll go to new tasks, and under the tasks I'll select the replication task. It says copy data from a Salesforce or database source to a database or file target. So as the message, right, says, we can have source as databases or Salesforce, right? Not any other type of source like flat file, right? Can my flat file be a source over here? No, right? Can I pull data from cloud platforms like AWS and all, Snowflake? No, right? We can only have the sources as relational databases or Salesforce. When I say relational databases, Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, or those are allowed, right? And then Salesforce, right, which would be one of the sources, right? And target could be database or a flat file. Can I push data into the Salesforce using replication task? Answer is no. right? Because a replication is kind of a taking a dump of the data, right? Taking export of the data. So we can take the data export in a form of a file or in form of a table, right? But then if I expect to data gets pushed into Salesforce or any other application, that is not we are going to take a dump of the data. Can we take a dump of the data in the Salesforce? No, right? So it would be data population, which is not allowed by replication. So now I have selected a new replication task. So it's a 5-step process of configuring it. So in the first tab, right, the source tab, I'll name my data replication task. By default, you'll see data replication task 1 appearing over here. As per the best practice and the standards which we follow, we'll start the name of the replication task as DRS underscore. It stands for data replication service, right? Is it mandatory? No, right? But then it is good to have kind of a best practice we follow, so that whenever we have bunch of the artifacts, right, using this prefix, we'll be able to make out that okay, this is a replication task, right? Like we create a mapping with m underscore, right? We create a session with s underscore, right? Workflow with wf underscore. So similarly, data replication task will start with drs underscore as a prefix. Okay, and then I can name anything, right? Maybe my source application name, target application name, whatever what I do, right? Or I might have some specific standards in my project, I can follow that, right? So here I would say I'm going to create a replication task between database to database, right? So I'll say orcl db to orcl. You can actually name the databases, the application names or something. Okay, I'll just have underscore one because I have created several replication tasks over here, so I might have same name. Or let's see. Okay, then I'll browse and then select the folder, right, where I want to save this particular replication task. So last time we talked about the explore menu where we have different folders. We can create the different projects and subfolders also, right? So wherever this replication task belongs to, right, whatever project or whatever module, we can select that particular folder, right? For now I'm selecting the default, right, and I'll click select, right? So there that replication task will get saved. Okay, then we can again have some optional description about this replication, what we are going to do over here, what this replication task is supposed to do and all, right? Those description can be provided, which is optional but again important thing, right, as per the standards. Then I need to select the source connection, right? So here I'm going to select the source connection as my Oracle. I don't see any other connection. I have created a flat file connection. I have created all different type of web services level connections. I don't see them because they won't be applicable, right? So only applicable connections would be listed over here. If I have created several database connections like Oracle, SQL Server, all would appear over here, or Salesforce as well. I have not configured the Salesforce connection yet because even I have created this free account recently, maybe I guess couple of weeks back or so. So I'm also yet to create the Salesforce connection over here. After selecting the connection, right, I need to select objects to replicate. All objects include or exclude, right? If I say all objects means all the tables, right, which are present in the Oracle database will be marked as source, right? I don't want to do that. So I'll go to include objects, click select, and then I'll get list of the tables which I have in my database. Okay, so if I scroll down, this is a list of the tables, and then there would be like a lot of system created tables as well, right? So the DDLs which I have provided you, right, I have some set of tables, I would say. So we'll use some of the tables, we'll select some of the tables from that list, which you would also have once you run those DDLs and DMLs after having your database configured. So I'll select the customers table, right? Then I'll select orders. So let's select couple of tables for now, right? So as soon as I click the check boxes, right, those tables will be added to the included objects list, right? Customers orders. For now, we'll go ahead with couple of source tables. You can add or you can include even more tables, right? So customer and order, these are the selected tables, and these would be considered as source, right? Exclude objects options would work vice versa. So include objects, I got a list, I selected the ones which I want, right? Using this exercise, exclude objects, right? If I have like 10 tables and out of them I need to select 8, right? So rather than selecting 8 tables 111, I would select only those 2 tables which I don't want to replicate, right? Don't want to consider as a source. So except those tables, all the tables will be marked as my sources. So it's a vice versa exercise, right? Then if an error occurs while processing an object, what we want to do, right? So we have the options cancel processing remaining objects and continue processing, which means, right, I created this replication task for first, second, third, 10 time, right? Whenever, right? If I'm running the replication task and somehow the replication for customers, right? So this will be happening in a sequential way, right? First of all, we'll replicate the customer's data, then we'll replicate the order's data. So whatever order we have selected, right, for these sources, accordingly, my replication will happen in a sequential way, right? So say for example, customer loads get aborted, failed because any reason, right? Any runtime issue, or maybe customer table is no longer available in my source, right? Or table is locked, unstable, whatever, right? If by any chance customer replication gets aborted, right? Then what I want to do, using the first option, cancel processing, means it will not replicate the orders. It will abort the replication task. But if I say continue processing, then no matter if my customer load fails, it will still go ahead and process my order data. So when we can actually use this, in which scenario? Whenever my tables are dependent on each other, right? If I don't get the customer table data, then there is no point in fetching the order data. If these are dependent tables, then I can go for first option. If these are independent, right, no matter customer fails, right, I still want order data. In that case, I can go for continue processing. Okay, so that is how it is. So this is how we have configured the source tab, right? And then I'll click on next. If any option I left, right, which is mandatory to be selected, it will not allow me to go to the next tab, right? Now we are into the target tab. Here I need to select the target connection. So I can select either Oracle connection again or a flat file connection, right? For now I'm again selecting Oracle. So just consider that this is just a demonstration, right? So currently we are using same Oracle connection for my source and target. In real time we'll have different Oracle, right, different databases. From one database to other database, you are kind of replicating the data, right? Here we have a single local database, right? So that is what we are going to use as a source and target, right? And then the target prefix, right? This is again kind of optional feature, right? But we'll definitely use it, right? So we'll provide a target prefix as REPL underscore. What does this mean? So the replicated tables will be created with REPL underscore customers and REPL underscore orders, right? So again, this is one of the best practice we follow, so that whenever I do have like different tables, whenever I see REPL underscore as a prefix, I can easily make out that this was created by some or other replication task of Informatica Cloud. Okay, if I don't provide it at all, my tables will be created with same name, customers and orders. Okay, but kind of a good to have. Now in my case, I might already have the REPL underscore customers and order table created in my database. So let me check. If that's the case, right, then it won't allow me to create. Let's see, I'll show that option to you, right? So I'll keep it as REPL underscore. Enable target bulk load, by default it is false. If we have like a lot of data to be pulled over, then we can enable it so that it will run in a bulk mode, right? Similar to what we have in Informatica Power Center, bulk mode and normal mode, right? So for now my data is like really like 5 to 6 rows only, so I'll just keep the bulk load false, right? Then we have replication options, load type and the delete options, right? So here if you see, full load each run is selected and other options, so this whole thing is grayed out. I don't have option to change it to the incremental load. I'll tell you the reason behind. And for delete options also, it is defaulted to remove deleted rows and column. columns and rows, and then I can't change it. What's the reason these options getting grayed out is incremental options, incremental load types are only possible for the Salesforce sources, not for the relationals, right? Let me explain you what these load types are. Whenever I say full load each run means every time I run the replication task, right, I will pull the full data, right, from that particular source or sources, whatever I have selected, and then it will keep writing to the target. So I don't have, say, for example, today I run the replication task. I do have 100 rows across my customers and orders, right? Tomorrow, when I'm running a replication task again, maybe I do have like 150 rows, right? So ideally, I should require those only 50 tables, sorry, 50 rows, which are delta, right? But then using the full load, I'll bring the whole data set all over again, right? But the incremental options like incremental load after initial full load means whatever is the delta that will be pulled from my source and accordingly it will be copied to my target, right? And incremental load after initial partial load means if I have a specific date to be kind of provided over here, and from that date I want to replicate the data, I can do that as well. But this middle option, right, the second incremental option is not used that much. It is for a specific or a niche requirement. Say for example, I'll give you a scenario. I created a replication task on 1st of October, right? I ran that task, right? And my data is loaded now. Okay. Now, today, 7th of October, I want to rerun the replication task, but I want to replicate only that data which was inserted, updated after 4th of October and a specific time also. Currently, it is graded out, but maybe 8 a.m. IST, right? Then what will happen? If I provide this date and time, then whatever data came to my source between 1st of October to 4th of October means when we executed a replication task after that on the 1st of October till 4th of October, this time whatever data came newly in my sources, data got updated, deleted, right? That data will not be considered for replication, right? And we will start replicating the data from 4th of October 8 a.m. onwards. So that is the second incremental option which we don't often use, right? Whenever we have a specific requirement about the dates, then only I can enable this option. Otherwise, most of the time I'll use full load or incremental load. So incremental load is grayed out over here. I can't select it. The
Oh,
reason
okay.
I have relational source, and for relational sources, I don't have any other option but to go for a full load each run. These incremental
Oh,
options are only available whenever I have Salesforce source. Whenever I say incremental load, right, then to find the delta in the database, right, I need to, I need to look up, I need to check which data is already present in my target and all. It is not very simple job, right? So in a specific mapping, say for example you are creating an Informatica Power Center mapping, right, and when you want to check whether the data should be marked as insert, update, delete or reject, right, we need to apply that kind of a logic, right? So it is not possible at the properties end to allow or to expect IICS to get that delta, right, from the database and push it to the target, right? That will not be applicable. That is why for the relational sources like Oracle SQL Server, MySQL, we will have to go with the full load each run. Okay, but I'll tell you what happens, right? Incremental loads are available only for Salesforce because Salesforce connection has a different protocol or different method to connect to the Salesforce source and bring the data. In the background, Salesforce connection is going to fire an API, a web service, and then that particular connection would be adequate enough to pull the delta because it will have its own mechanism to select the
mm,
delta and push it to the target, which is not available
okay.
in the relational connections, because in the relational connections to find the delta we'll have to apply the logic. But then
Okay.
whenever I say
Mm,
full load each run, right, doesn't mean that the data which is already present in my target, right, I'll just keep on overwriting it or I'll just keep on writing the duplicates. That will not happen. Whenever I say load type as full load, right, while reading the data from source, I'll read the full data, but while pushing the data to target, it will always be incremental. So I'm running the replication task today with 100 rows in source, right? First time I'll get all the 100 rows to my target, right? Then tomorrow, if I have 150 rows, while reading it from source, I'll pull 150, right? But while writing to the table, right, I'll see what do I have. Like I have 100 rows already available, right? So I'll just push the 50 new records. Or if those 100 rows which are already there in my target, do I have any updates, right, from the source? If yes, then those updates would be applicable. So it is as good as truncate target table, right? It doesn't truncate, right? But then the impact of the data loading will be like truncate target table. So no way I will have a duplicates in my target table. There is no way that my source is having 150 rows and my target has 100 plus 150 250 rows. That will never happen in the replication. And then the delete option says remove deleted columns and rows, and that is the option I have with the relationals, right? I can go for the retain, right? What is remove deleted columns and rows, right? Whenever I say that insert updates will happen using these full load, right? Say for example, today I'm running the load again with same example 100 rows, right? Tomorrow I'm rerunning the replication and I do have just 80 rows in my source, right? So those 20 rows which got deleted, those will get deleted from my target as well whenever I rerun the replication task, right? Using the option remove deleted columns and rows, right? Then what will happen, whatever rows gets deleted from my source will also get deleted from my target. Again, kind of a snapshot or replica, right? And whenever I say delete column means if my database the table definition changes, right? If I have additional columns getting added, right, then those will get added to my target table as well. But if I delete or drop some columns in my source, those will also get dropped from my target table. Again, a replica. But when I say retained columns and retained deleted columns and rows means though those columns and rows are deleted from my source, I still want to have them in my target table, which is my replication table, which I want to be kind of a historical table where I don't want to perform any deletes. If that's the case I want to implement, then I can go for a second option, but it is also available for Salesforce, right? Not for the relational. Relational will always be exact replica of each other, source and target. Okay. So as of now, we have just discussed about how to configure the source and target tab, right? We have to stop over here as we are running out of time, right?